your name.
Well, my first name is Gleason. My name is Gleason W. Ayers. W is for Wheeler, which was my mother's family. My working life, I've been known as Gus, to the dismay of my folks to some extent. They wanted me to call Gleason, but it don't work good. I don't think it works very good. And all my working life I've been Gus, so let's go with Gus.
Okay. I'm going to just do something here a moment, and that's see if this light, well, I'll leave it be. Does this go up a little higher, this light? No, that's what it is. Okay. Gus, how old are you now?
94. Born in 1917. Isn't that many kids? 94.
And where were you born?
I was born in the hospital in the old Heaton Hospital in Montpelier. The Heaton Hospital in Montpelier wasn't no old at the time I was born. And went up there, and for some reason my mother went to the hospital, went to some friends in Montpelier. I don't know, it was two days or a short time before I was born. But my home was 18 Elm Street. I mean, home was 11 Randall Street at the, no, that isn't right either. It's 7 Randall Street is where I grew up. And then when I left and went to work for the plywood in Waterbury, I had a house at 18 Elms at 11 Randall Street from 47 to 74, and then I was in Arlington, office in Bennington, and I worked for the highway department in office in Bennington for 8 years, and retired, and here I am.
What kind of work did you do in your life? What was your main work?
Engineer.
What kind?
Well, I'm a registered, I went to Norwich and studied electrical engineering, and practiced it from 40 to 47 with General Electric Company and Riverworks and Lynn. And after that, I worked for the plywood, Pilgrim Plywood Corp, where the coffee roasters are located now, and 47 to 74. And after that time, I worked entirely for the highway department.
Always as an engineer?
Always as an engineer in various capacities.
Tell me what Randall Street was like as a kid.
It was full of youngsters. It was a great place to bring up children. Across the street from me was the Magnus family. 3 boys, 2 girls. He was in Eastern Magnesia Talc, and the mine, of course, was in just over the line in Moortown on Route 2 there. And what was now?
Just asking about what Randall's did it
Oh,
have?
right. Also, there was the next door neighbor was carpenter family. They had 4 boys and 1 girl. Magnus had 2 girls, but I tell you that.
Were there as many houses back then as there are now?
The houses were essentially as now. The only difference is one about 9 Randall Street. That was where originally was Randall Street Creamery. Way before my time, when the village was very young, and there was a creamery there, and then that burned, and well, probably even before World War I. And there was an empty field up until some mid 1900s. So other than that one house, the houses are, and you had one additional house down on the corner of Randall and Park Road. There's a new house. In other words, there's no change in the housing.
And who was Randall?
Oh, that's an interesting point. George Randall, he's the most interesting man to read about, and talk about, and study. He was born up on Ricker Mountain. Yeah, I would guess in a log cabin, but I'm quite sure it was a log cabin, but I'm not sure. He spent a year or 2 teaching school up on Ricker Mountain. And that Ricker Mountain, in case you want to know, is the area above the Waterbury flood control dam. And you now have a road up around the old Ricker Mountain settlement. And this foundations are still there. One cabin is still there. It's a very interesting place. But George Randall, he went from here to Lowell, Mass. Yeah. And to learn the blacksmithing trade. And I don't know how the financing came to him. I've never been able to, I never heard an inkling where he got money, but he walked in 49, the gold rush. He walked across the isthmus and then took the boat up to Sacramento, went in the gold fields. He was I don't know if I think he was smarter, because he turned the gold he picked up into money and sent it home. I've heard of others that tried to bring the gold back and lost it. That was quite a common occurrence, as information that I've accumulated. That the trick back home with the gold was near impossible. But Mr. Randall was intelligent enough so that he turned his into gold. And most interesting, it's a sideline, but let's talk about Randall. He went to the gold fields, and I've got letters from him. I have copies of the letter. I don't have the originals. Fran Randall was good enough to let me have them long enough to copy, and I don't know who owns them now. Whether Danny Randall owns them or what, I don't know. But I have, and then they're down to Historical Society.
So he built the houses on Randall Street?
He developed Randall Street. He put in, I expect he put in the water and sewer lines, and sold, I I don't know how much active he was in the actual building. I don't think he was too active. But he sold the lots. He was in the legislature after he got back. Actually, he bought all farms on Ricka Mountain and Cotton Brook. And if you want to know about it, go up to the Little River Dam and go in and see the caretaker and ask if you can hike up Ricka Mountain, Cotton Brook. Ricka Mountain or Cotton Brook. They aren't. It's a day hike to either one.
Right.
Most interesting.
Let me. I'm gonna pause.